Well, it's a welcome move, according to me, because it's a huge expenditure that is involved in this kind of an election. And the first election of 1952 was held as a one nation, one poll. So all the assemblies and the parliament went together. The next election, 57, also went as one nation, one vote. The third election also went as one nation, one vote. That is in 62. It's only thereafter that some of the assemblies started getting dissolved, and because of that reason, the timing was lost, and different times have started, being decided for every assembly. But that actually creates a huge problem, because there is a time period during which you can't do any policy decisions. There is a time period during which you can't take any development activities. Now, all that suffers because supposing there is a parliamentary election, then also you can't do it. If there is a state election, then also you can't do it. So this and plus the expenditure involved. But according to me, it will require quite drastic changes in the constitution. So Article 83, Article 172.
Vikas ji, especially when it comes to you saying drastic changes in the constitution, is there a way without having been, those amendments being implemented? It could be a long, tedious and a complicated task. Could the government go around somewhere, especially when it comes to those 11 states and 1 union territory is concerned, that could further do with the changes, extension or shortening the duration of the assembly, sir?
No, so if there is no change in the constitution, there is no way it can be done. But for instance, if the BJP wants to get into election in the states that it is ruling in the various state governments, it can decide to say that we will, dissolve the assembly and have it along with the parliament. Or the parliament can be dissolved to be had with, large number of assemblies coming up at a particular point of time, but that will have to be voluntary. It can't be forced upon a state. If a state doesn't want to go for an election as a one nation, one vote kind of a policy, then the central government has no power with it to, force a state government to come for a one nation, one poll. So it will have to come with a constitutional amendment, and a two-third majority will be required. You don't have to consult the states, that I said yesterday also to your channel, but definitely two-third majority will have to be, required in the amendment, and it can be done. So the anti-defection law will have to be amended. It will have to be made stricter. People now, what they do, they defect and they, resign from the assembly, or they are removed from the assembly, and they get elected to the same assembly, which is the same 5-year term. And that, according to me, is a wrong interpretation by the Supreme Court. Once you are disqualified, you should be disqualified at least for the term of the assembly, remaining term of the assembly. To say that you get disqualified and get back into the same assembly by joining another party is actually making a mockery of the anti-defection law.
Right.
So a lot of these amendments will have to be done, and if it is done, and I think parties should agree, if it is done on a with a robust discussion and with involvement of everybody, I don't understand why every political party should not agree to this, because it's not as if any particular political party, according to me, will gain by this move. It's a move which is, according to me, in national interest, and there should be a healthy debate around it. And it's only after engaging with the political parties, this can be
probably
done.
the political parties, especially the opposition, is only looking at it from the perspective of advantage BJP. But this is not a unique experiment. It has happened in 52, 57, 62 and 67 as well. But some in the opposition believe, their argument is that back then there were fewer parties, sir. Now the parties have grown in numbers, especially the regional parties, and that's why the setup becomes a bit complex. How do you respond to that?
So the fact that there are regional parties today also is reflected in the maturity of our voters. So if you see, there have been several state elections where, the states have gone to the regional party, whereas in the same state, the same voter has voted for the national party in the parliamentary election. So that is something which is that fragment, that new parties coming up is also a reality which the voter has accepted. And the voter acknowledges that a regional party may be able to do better work as far as the state government is concerned, but may not be able to do good quality work as far as forming the government at the center is concerned. And that will definitely, some states we have seen it very, 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 I would say, pronounced. Some states it's not there, but slowly that feeling will come in the entire country, and having a simultaneous vote in that sense will not make any difference for the regional party, which will definitely gain as far as the state election is concerned, and may not so gain as far as the parliamentary election is concerned.
Right, Vikasji, because that's the point I want to understand from you, sir. When it comes to regional parties, they are stronger in their own states, sir. But what happens when they are competing with the national party on a bigger front there? What happens then? How could it be actually a bigger challenge for them?
So when the regional party is, faced with a national party as far as the parliamentary election is concerned, definitely they are at a disadvantage, because the voter also realizes that whether this regional party can make any difference as far as national politics is concerned. If it can't, and if it can only go as a spoiler there in the national, game, then what is the point of just selecting them for the sake of having our presence? But some states I have seen also feel that our people, whom we have elected as a regional party for the governance of the state, should go to the parliament also to ensure that the state's aspirations are not affected. So that can also happen, and that is actually happening in some states. So it's not as if every state has two kinds of voting. Some states also vote like for instance, Orissa is a very stark example. Biju Patnaik wins the state election, and he also wins all the parliamentary seats as well. So there are some states which feel, very strongly that our people should go to the central government also, and also contribute in the central politics in whatever little way they can. So they have that right to do so. I don't agree. I don't see why they should not.
Right.
But what I feel also should be done is that in the anti-defection law, once a group decides to form a government, and they say that this is a group which is combined together for the government, then that anti-defection should apply to the entire group,
Right.
which takes the government, because then the security of that group will remain for the entire period of 5 years.
Right. So
And
bottom line, you're saying if you're doing a good job in terms of a political party, then you need not fear whether simultaneous polls are taking or not. If your voter is convinced, they'll vote for you in any given format. All right. We also have Mr. Rajgopalan on the broadcast. He's a senior journalist. I think the biggest challenge will be to synchronize the term of Lok Sabha with that of the assemblies. Of course, the state governments where elections are due will have no issues maybe, but those states where they've not even completed their half term will be a problem, Mr. Rajgopalan. I'll come back to you with that question. Let's first play out how the Prime Minister pitched for this.
वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन सिर्फ एक चर्चा का विषय नहीं है, बल्कि ये भारत की जरूरत है। हर कुछ महीने में भारत में कहीं न कहीं बड़े चुनाव हो रहे होते हैं। इससे विकास के कार्यों पर जो प्रभाव पड़ता है, उसे आप सब भली भांति जानते हैं। ऐसे में वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन पर गहन अध्ययन और मंथन आवश्यक है, और इसमें पीठासीन अधिकारी काफी मार्गदर्शन कर सकते हैं, गाइड कर सकते हैं, लीड कर सकते हैं। इसके साथ ही लोकसभा हो, विधानसभा हो या पंचायत चुनाव हो, इनके लिए एक ही वोटर लिस्ट काम में आए, इसके लिए हमें सबसे पहले रास्ता बनाना होगा।
Mr. Rajgopalan, can you please take that question now?
Yes, I will. First of all, congratulations for the scoop. And second thing, Vikas Singh has explained it in detail. Congratulations to him. Second thing, he spoke about the law, legal aspects, constitutional aspects. I want to elaborate to Times Now viewers. It's political. I would like to say, Swati and Amrita, EMS Sudarshan Nachiappan, who was Congress MP in 2012, Joint Parliamentary Committee enacted a report. That report suggested one nation, one poll. That is during UPA regime. This move will severely affect the Indy alliance. The reason being, the Indy alliance, like DMK, TMC, JDU, these are all certain regional parties. They will have major say because the regional parties will be the most affected one.
All right.